Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. I am Nancy White, the host of this show, and here we talk about our healthy mind, our body, and our spirit. And as my dear friend Paula Fellingham always says, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. And by the way, Paula Fellingham is the owner of Win Win Women and the creator and founder. So, this is a time and a place where women, especially, can come together to become inspired, educated, and learn about the amazing things that all women and some men need to know. We again talk about nurturing that mind, that body, and that spirit. And we have to nurture all three every day, or one of those areas are going to go, "Excuse me, you forgot about me." And we'll find out real fast what we have forgotten about. So I love having amazing guests. And some of you can go back in the archives and look at the previous seasons and see this beautiful woman. So Tina Hunt is going to be our guest this evening, and she is enriching women's lives every single day in more ways than one. Well, we're really going to talk about some incredible information tonight from Tina because Tina is one of the most well, miraculous women that I know. She is a walking miracle, I'm telling you. And she's not only a dear friend, but she is someone that I would trust, and she just is would always be there if I ever needed anything. And the topic tonight is cabbage to lemonade. Isn't that interesting? So, welcome, Tina. I'm so grateful that you're here with us.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor, as always, to be in your presence, whether it's in person or whether it's via the internet.
Oh, I love it. And that's one of the beauties that, we can have in person or internet or even just, the phone calls, the old fashioned, I call it the old fashioned phones. So, but we're going to talk about life lessons that Tina has gone through involving the diagnosis of lupus at an early age, rheumatoid arthritis, kidney decline, and transplant and open heart surgery. And that's not all. But she was born and raised in Charlotte, just like me. And we're Southern girls. And she graduated cum laude from King's College here. And she is an active an enrolled member of the Lumbee Native American tribe. Boy, does this woman have incredible clothing and also jewelry that has been created by hand by Lumbee Indians. She is, oh, just a little bit about Lumbee Indians. They are the largest tribe east of the Mississippi. And I love this fact about Tina. In 1987, she was crowned Miss Metrolina Native American Queen, and she still is a queen. And at the time of her reign, she gathered enough support and donations to have the first Native American float in the Carolinas Carousel Parade. And as much as we know, that's the only Native American float that was ever in the parade. She is passionate. I'm telling you, passion is this girl's middle name about helping women gain confidence from the inside out and also teaching and customizing skincare, makeup routines, all kinds of different things, even personal development. She never meets a stranger, always brings energy and positive vibes to every event, in person or virtually. In her life journey, she defies all odds. She finds fun and light in a dark situation. And again, her unique quote, How to Take Cabbage and Make Lemonade, is also the title of her upcoming book that we're going to talk about in a little bit. She says making lemons to lemonade would be too easy. In some of her life events, family and friends have shared, we didn't know whether we were supposed to be laughing or crying. And she has, again, magnetic and talented of making people feel important. So, Tina, I'm so grateful again that you're with us, and you've definitely been through some tremendous episodes and seasons of life. And I would love for you just to touch on some lessons that give hope and encourage others. And, you know, what was it that you can just look back at your journey that sort of brought you to this point and going, this is what I need to be doing, and this is how I'm going to use my gifts and talents to serve others?
Oh, wow. So it has been a journey. We, if it's like life is a journey also. Um, I think just growing in maturity in life, as well as growing in maturity in my spiritual walk, knowing that God knows all, God sees all. I actually posted something just earlier before we got on, and it talked about this mountain. You have been assigned this mountain. And so it's your job to move it. As a believer, we are assigned things and people are watching to see how we respond or how we react. Do we let the obstacles like just crush us into all these little pieces, or do we let the obstacle, for a moment, like, okay, I've been crushed, but before we completely fall apart, get it together and come back stronger? I think it would be kind of how I would describe that.
Wow. And that's one of the things that the word tenacity always comes to mind too when I think of you, Tina. Just, you are so tenacious. So, but looking back, because I know you've gone through so many different things, I'd just love for you just to reflect a little bit about even when you were first diagnosed with lupus at an early age.
Yes, and that has come up recently too, because I was diagnosed when I was 17 years old. That was my senior gift from God to me. And it's like, okay, because one of the other big things that I look at is your perspective and your mindset. You really do have control over your mind and your mindset. It's a choice. Or is the glass going to, I have my water bottle here, is it going to be half full or is it going to be half empty? Do you look at it and, and say that kind of thing? But at 17 years old, that was a hard pill to swallow. And for the younger generation, that was before cell phones, internet, Google, Alexas, TikTok, and all of the things that we have now. And so I really was walking a path of not knowing, in literally like stepping stones of like, okay, the next step, because you did not have the access that you have now. Even when I was diagnosed, one of the big factors for the test was having a kidney biopsy. And back in the day, actually, that kidney biopsy had to be sent to UNC Chapel Hill to be analyzed and everything. Well, by the time I had my second one, they were able to do it in Charlotte. So, but yeah, it's just, it was hard. It was hard. But how did I get through it was family and friend support. It is so crucial, like who you hang around. Just think of the top 5 people that you hang around. When you leave them, do you feel positive? Do you feel negative? Or do you feel about the same? Now, no comments, but 4 out of those 5 might be family that you just can't ditch. You know what I'm saying? But there again, that mindset and setting your healthy boundaries will help you to overcome that. And I was blessed with that. And that also that my family, my parents, they would listen. They were really present to the moment. Again, we didn't have these things here that distracted us. They're good, don't get me wrong. But so many times we're, looking to see when we're going to get the next like and things like that. So they were present and they listened to me and they helped me realize that my diagnosis was a diagnosis. It wasn't a label or a definition sign that was to define me.
Wow, and I know more details too because I've read your stories too, and I can't wait for your book to come out. Um, so going through that challenge in your teenage years, I know it was hard. And so then when did the rheumatoid arthritis come around? When did that show up?
So my lupus, I was diagnosed in February of 1984. So literally it's been 40 years. Yay, right? 40 years this year. And so it was in my kidneys. The lupus was in my kidneys for 2 years. Then it went to my joints. And then, so that was 1984 to 86. And then in about 2000, I think, and I have to look back at all my numbers, but I think in about 2000, it went back to my kidneys. And I mean, I used to be ashamed, but that's my hands. That's my hands. Um, Young children will say, "Why are your hands crooked?" And I'm like, "Well, God just decided mine needed to be crooked," and they're okay with it. which is wonderful. And again, it goes to show that childlike faith, because that's all they need to know was God's got it. Whereas adults, it's like, oh, well, doesn't it hurt? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it's like, again, I haven't been given lemons. I've been given the cabbage. So yes, there's things I have to do a little different. It's so funny because I even told somebody the other day, even my fingernails has got arthritis in them. They've gone crooked. But it's all good. I'm still living, breathing. I'm 6 feet above ground, just barely because I'm only 5'1". But I'm above ground, and God still blesses me every day. And that's just the way I have to look at it. And that's the way I go with it. Is it challenging? Yes. And there's some days I have my list of things written out to do. And then it's like, okay, I just can't. And I have to listen to my body. That's when the mind, soul, body, and all come together.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're great at it because you do know how to nurture that mind, that body, and that spirit. So, well, continuing on with the journey, Tina, um, when did you know or how did you know that your kidneys were starting to decline?
Um, I really didn't. It was more or less blood work that showed that part. But back in 84, when I was diagnosed with the lupus that had attacked the kidneys, what happened was, now I'm not athletic at all. I played no high school sports. I did not get the letter jacket. I didn't get the stripes. And my
You're
name's
the
not listed.
mascot. You're so
I,
cute.
my name is nowhere listed in the North Mecklenburg High School group or on anything in the gym outside of the gym. Okay. But I played community ball and actually got a trophy for being the clown of the team. So, whatever. They put me in the outfield too, because they don't, that many balls never got out there. But what happened was I had fluid that was built up on my knees. I could kind of feel it. It was a little puffy and a little slushy around the kneecap that's not normally there. And so Dr. Hunt here decided, well, I'll just drink more water and it'll flush off. Well, that didn't work. So then I finally was like, okay, well, I think we need to go. And my parents were like, I think you need to go to the pediatrician because I was still under 18. So I go to my pediatrician and I'm like, I got fluid and all this. I just need to take the needle and draw the fluid out, right? Well, doctor didn't like that idea. So he decided we needed to do blood work. And then that led to the kidney biopsy. And then that's where and how it all began.
Oh my goodness. And then your journey. So um at that time, at that diagnosis, how much longer was it that they said that you would probably need to have a kidney transplant?
So I did not get word that I needed a kidney transplant till like 2010.
Mm.
2010. Yeah, about 2010. Um, my kidney function kept dropping because after you get diagnosed with lupus, you're continuously going to the doctor, having blood drawn. And so the kidney function kept dropping. And then I'll never forget, it was the doctor's PA, Hope was her name. And she came in and she had that look. And it was like, oh gosh, but even then I knew something. And she's like, your kidneys are function. They don't really say failing at this point. They say your kidney function is dropping. So we need to put you on the kidney transplant list and da 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 da. And I'm like, what? As I talk about in the book, talking about being given a whole pallet of cabbage here now. And it's like, okay, let's make some lemonade out of this mess. And you're like, what? How? So it took a moment. That's where you have to kind of stop and reflect and all. And then we just, kind of, it's like, okay, well, if it's got to be done, it's got to be done. But I was specific in praying. I didn't get the kidney until 2012. And again, you'll just have to get my book to get all the specific dates. But it was like in 2012 that I actually got the kidney. But I was very specific about my prayer. Y'all, God knows who you are. He created you. And so you're not just anything, but he created me. He knows I'm a planner. He knows that I need a little time to work things out. And I was very specific. I will say that is one prayer that I was very, very specific about. I didn't want to be on dialysis. I did not want I didn't want to be on dialysis. I didn't want to be sick. I wanted a healthy, perfect match kidney. Um, I just, those were the three main things. And lo and behold, as they say, when I got my kidney, I had not been on dialysis. It was a perfect match kidney, and I was healthy. Because if you're not healthy, they're not going to give it to you. Because again, they're entrusting you with this organ. The family who's donating it, whether it be someone that's passed or a living donor, they're giving you this as a second chance of life, and you need to appreciate it and take care of it. So it was like, check, check, check. Like, okay. But you know what was so funny too, Miss Nancy? I had to be reminded of what I had prayed for, because I didn't want it at the time in June. It was nice, it was pretty. I was outside, and then all of a sudden, my friends, when I was telling them, like, oh gosh, they've called me, because God planned it ahead of time because He knew I needed to plan. They called me and was telling me about it. And I was like, oh, but I don't. And sometimes when you say but, it's like you're just making excuses. But they reminded me of my prayers. And I was like, oh gosh, yes, I did. So you need people in your life like that too, that will remind you of your prayers. Because when they come through, sometimes you do the but, and you need to leave the but out.
Yeah.
So I just processed on to get the kidney.
Well, and they're gonna have to read the book too, because I know some other details too that we haven't touched on very much. But what was it, Tina, a lesson really that kept you from becoming bitter during all these different challenges? What was it that really kept you from becoming bitter?
That's a great question. Because we're human. Just
Mhm.
if you're watching this, you're human,
Mhm.
and so your mind is set, and you're just kind of like, oh gosh, I'm a firm believer in talking to God just like I'm talking to you. So I did ask God why. I didn't understand. I was a saved. I was a believer. I was working in my church, and all the checks. And I'll never forget going to the doctor's office one day and seeing this gentleman. And back in the 80s and early 90s, if someone was on oxygen, they had the big, huge tanks that they had to carry around with these long oxygen cords and all that. And it was like the Holy Spirit just spoke to me and said, it could be worse. And I'm like, ugh, yes. And that's when I think, honestly, that's probably when my mindset changed. And it was just looking at what God had given me, and how, again, it could be worse. And then later in life, I mean, God is so good for just speaking to you and showing you. I'm going to say, let's see, 84, in the late 80s, or again, early 90s, I've had the privilege several times to meet Johnny Erickson Tata. And for those that don't know, she was 16 years old. She was out enjoying the lake. She jumped off the pier, and when she jumped off the pier, she broke her neck, and she's still paralyzed from her neck down. But yet she has traveled all over the world in her wheelchair. She writes books. She does paintings. And again, it was like me with my arthritis and all I had going on. I mean, because she can't feel anything, and she has to have so many things done for her, like dressing and eating, and the normal things that we do. She has to have someone to do it for her. And it was like, okay, Lord, again, I have nothing to complain about. I have been blessed, because even though it hurts, at least I still have feelings.
I know, um, and then one of the things too that you went through, I remember because I remember being praying for the kidney for you also, and you thought you had found a match and everything was hunky dory and everything. Then all of a sudden the tables turned and God closed that door. And you'll have to read the book about that one. But I remember one of the most fun things when you got your kidney, and this feisty girl, she's getting prepped for surgery, and she saw the orderly or whoever carrying a little cooler, and she goes, "Is that my kidney? I want to see it." My feisty girl.
Sure enough. And that was with medication too, by the way, because really I'm, for the most part, supposed to be somewhat sleepy.
Mm.
Um, and the guy wouldn't tell me if that was my kidney. But then when I got inside to the OR, my surgeon was over there working on what I didn't know at the time, but it was a kidney. And so I, again, supposed to be asleep by now, mind over matter that tells you about your choices and how strong they are. I was like, is that my kidney? I could have brought my phone in here and taken a picture of it. And as my best friend always, she immediately, when I told the story after the fact, she's like, okay, how long did it take them to knock you out then? And it's like, oh, the mask. I think the time I got the words out is when I got to, is it my kid? I probably didn't even get the question out. The mask was on me. They were like, shut this girl up. She's not supposed to be talking.
Oh, so see, the joy of the Lord and laughter is incredible. It's so much release, and it's another part of the life lessons, Tina, too, that you've had the joy. And I know you've gone through a lot, even with your mom, and you were a caregiver for her and helping her. And then even after all that, oh my gosh, the next exciting episode was your open heart surgery.
Yep, just because you can zip the pants don't mean they fit. You know what I'm saying? And that was what the feeling I was having. It was like that pressure. And they were like, what does it feel like? And I'm like, it feels like, again, I've been able to zip my pants, but that doesn't mean they really fit. I just kind of quit breathing and suddenly for a minute, you know. So yes, that was another but again, I will say, and I must say, I'm not, please don't hear this that Tina just takes everything lightly, because I don't. When I started having these problems, I immediately went to the doctor, the heart doctor. And what it is again, this mountain, how am I going to move it? With God, how am I going to move it? And just realizing that when you go through a test, you have a testimony.
Yes.
And with God, you can do these things, and you can do life, and you can do hard. And I just had to, like, okay, here we go. But I also do have a medical background too. So I've been on both sides of the desk. And I will tell you that when you're positive and when you are happy, things like that, it actually relaxes your bones, your muscles, your arteries, and all of that. And when I remember going in for the kidney transplant, they were like, you're going to do fine, because you're not worried about it. You have a good demeanor, you have a good spirit about it. And again, not taking it lightly. I mean, because hey, y'all, when you have double bypass heart surgery, they take your heart out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, whoa, glory, when I read that discharge report, but or operative report. But the thing is like, as a believer, if you have that calmness, your body will react better. Your body will receive better. I'm on like the lowest amount of anti-rejection medicine you can have. When I came home from the hospital, it would take me an hour, and I had a checkoff list to take the medication. And now I take 3 anti-rejection medicines.
I think
What,
it's
12 years later?
well, I remember when I went to go visit you in the hospital too, and I thought you were only there for like not even 2 days almost, and you didn't have to go on dialysis or anything. I thought this is the little miracle gal walking. So,
Yes, yeah.
mhm. So those life lessons too, Tina. Looking back, and just would you have done things differently? Would you have said things, done things, or just would you done anything in a different way than what you did?
I don't think so, because for the most part, you don't have time to plan anyway. I mean, God gave me time. Actually gave me time to plan for the heart surgery too, y'all. I mean, it's like I had like 10 days. The doctor canceled my birthday party. That's like, whoa, this man I've never met just canceled my birthday party. I don't think so. Because again, when I look back and see how things so fell into place, that the pieces of the puzzle just landed right where they should. I was with the right group of people at the right time. I was in my life, at the right place. God had my mother here with me when when I had the kidney transplant. She wasn't here when I had the double bypass heart surgery. That one was tough. It is tough to do things now, but again, I have no control over that. But what I can do is do my best, knowing that my mother strengthened me and raised me and with that faith so that I could carry on. And just also knowing that she, at the end, she had no quality of life. And that is so important. So now that I know I have her as my cheerleader up above and watching out I think, yeah, it would just be the same pattern.
Mhm. So, what kind of guidelines or suggestions would you give somebody that is going through some challenges, Tina? Um, just because you were talking about how important it is to have that support system and just, having those people to be cheering you on and not, trying to fix anything, but just to be that amazing support for you.
Yes, that is so important. Make sure that you have people around you that will listen first and foremost, and there's no distractions, but they're truly present to you, and that you're safe with talking to them, and that they're not going to say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. Make sure you have your healthy, safe boundaries. Sometimes people don't think about what they say when they say it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to protect yourself. I mean, not saying that you're like putting up the wall, but then there are some people you have to put up the wall,
Yeah.
and you have to protect that. I think again, your mindset, I think the biggest thing, and this literally just came to me, when you are communicating with your doctor, make sure you have pen pen and paper. You are your best advocate. I think as a young person or as a senior person, you should have another set of ears with you. You should advocate for yourself. You live in your body 24/7. And granted, they quote unquote only have 15 minutes. But again, working in the medical field, my doctors that I worked with said it's always so much nicer when people come in and they have these questions and they have, like, well, what about this? What about that? And don't think you're going to remember it all, because you're not. Even 40 years now, I still take pen and paper with me to my doctor's appointments. So you need to advocate for you, and you need to tell truly what's going on, and you need to have that spirit. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. You know, think about it, pray about it, and just make sure that you feel like and get to know your body. Your body talks to you a lot. It tells you when you're tired, it tells you when you're sleepy, it tells you when you're hungry, all those things. It tells you when you have to go to the bathroom. I mean, literally all those things inside and out. So you need to listen to your body and what your body's telling you to do and when you need to do it. If I would have ignored the heart, actually, when they got in there, they found out I had an aneurysm. I would not be here talking to you all tonight.
Wow. See, the miracles don't stop. They just don't stop. I knew our time was going to fly like the wind when
Yes,
we were going to be talking. I have to ask you real quick, unless it's a secret, about your book. Where did you ever come up with cabbages to lemonade, making lemonade from cabbages?
that truly has been my motto since 1984 when
Mm.
I was diagnosed with the lupus. Because I tell people, I tell the doctors, I'm not a textbook patient. Textbook was written for your African American group. The textbook was written for your Caucasian group. You do just the opposite for your African American group. And I'm Native American, so you got to figure me out. And when they laugh, I'm like, we're going to get along. And let me tell you, I joked about that for years. And when I had the double bypass heart surgery, the heart surgeon, is not in writing, told me it is true. Our DNA, our veins, and all of that is so different. So I just thought, this is truly it. It's God has given me cabbage, and as you read the book, you'll see how I have taken that cabbage and I'm still processing some cabbage into lemonade, and it's going to
Oh,
happen.
I think it's going to continue on until you move to heaven, Tina. In
That's
fact,
it.
oh, well, tell everyone the easiest way for them to be able to get in touch with you, Tina.
The easiest way right now, because I literally have March Madness here at the Hunt headquarters. Let me just tell you, the easiest way would be to email me at Tina, TINAMK, N is in never, S is in stop, D is in dream. Never stop dreaming
Oh,
at gmail.com.
I love it, Tina. Well, thank you again so much for being with us, and I cannot wait for your book to come out. We're going to probably have you back too, because I want to see you holding it up and showing it to everyone. So, but anyways, I encourage everyone to join us next time. Come back at 7 o'clock next Wednesday evening to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. And I would love to celebrate how you are taking care of your healthy lifestyle. You can go to my website, thehealthysaleschick.com, and set up a time to talk. And I promise that we will talk all about you, celebrate the good things. And then if you want some suggestions on enhancing your healthy lifestyle, I'll be more than happy to help you with that. And visit some of our other Win Win Women TV show hosts. We got about 200 shows, and it is a wonderful place for, again, for you to become educated, knowledgeable, inspired, and just find ways to continually never stop learning. And don't forget, you're going to be taking care of your temporary temple until you get your permanent maintenance free one. So until we talk again, thank you again, Tina, so much for your
Thank you.
whole time today. And it's a take.